Good afternoon, everyone. We're just going to wait a couple minutes, let folks start up and get settled in before we start the webinar. And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Small Business Resources webinar hosted by the U.S. Small Business Administration and Public-Private Strategies Institute. We're really happy to have you all here, and we hope we can have an informative and thoughtful discussion. So just a couple of housekeeping things just to start us right off. If you have a question, please type it into the Q&A. As always, the U.S. Small Business Administration does not endorse Public-Private Strategies Institute. And just to note that this session is being live streamed and recorded. Please do not share any personal information in the Q&A function. And with that, I'll kick it over to my colleague and associate, Stephan Jordan.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for what we think and hope to be a really great and informative discussion to help share a lot of great resources with you all and all of our small businesses across the country. This has been a part of a webinar series been going on for the last several months, sharing a lot of great resources and assistance that we hope will be helpful to you as our small businesses come out of the COVID-19 pandemic and as the nation starts to recover. If you want to go ahead and move to the next slide. So today we're going to talk about resources and opportunities for relief. We know that many of you all in our small businesses are starting to begin to reopen and entering new phases and are trying to adapt to the new reality that the country faces. And what we're doing today is we're going to provide some specific resources and help provide information and practices and strategies for you and your businesses to continue to navigate through these unprecedented times. Next slide. So today we're going to kind of hit three important areas. We're going to talk about resources and relief. We're going to talk about tax credits that can help your businesses. And then we're going to talk and give some updates about COVID-19 and becoming a vaccination small business leader. Next slide. So first, we're going to talk about resources, and we're going to more specifically talk about SBA resource partners. And then we're going to talk about the COVID EIDL program. Next slide. So first, I'm really excited to introduce to everyone Bridget Weston, who is the Chief Executive Officer of SCORE. Bridget's going to walk through some slides to talk about SCORE and what they're up to, what they're all about, and what kind of resources and help they can provide to you. So Bridget, I'll hand it right over to you.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here. Thank you for putting this webinar on, and I'm glad to talk to you about some of the resources that SCORE offers to small business owners. So if we can get started to the next slide. SCORE is here for the life of your business. Whether you are just getting started in business, growing, or struggling, we have some resources that are here to help you. So the next slide talks about the SCORE story. SCORE has been around for a long time. We were formed in 1964, and we continue to be a resource partner of the Small Business Administration. And we're focused on helping small businesses, those who are starting and those who are existing. Since we've been founded, we've helped more than 11 million businesses. And our focus is really on you, the small business owner. We're here to foster vibrant small business communities through our mentoring and education, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. And our vision is that every person has the support they need to survive and thrive as a small business owner. Our success is your success. And let me talk a little bit more about how we help small businesses. So if you go to the next slide, you can see that SCORE helps small businesses by providing free business advice and mentoring. Yes, free. We also offer low or no cost business training, education, webinars such as this, roundtables, networking, and other opportunities to help supplement that guidance and advice from your SCORE mentor. We also have a wealth of information, free business templates and resources to help guide you in your small business journey. Now, how do we do this? So if you go to the next slide, you can see that this is possible through the effort of our SCORE volunteers nationwide. SCORE is made up of a nationwide network of volunteer business people, more than 10,000 people, giving their time, their experience, their knowledge to help you all across the country in over 1,500 communities. And if you go to the next slide, you can see some of our mentors. Oops, sorry. So thanks to our volunteers, we've been able to help thousands of small business owners. We know that with the data we've been able to provide the SBA in FY21 last year, SCORE mentors helped businesses by creating almost 10,000 new businesses, 9,555 new businesses. SCORE also helped 6,746 businesses increase their revenue. And 82% of the businesses that we've worked with have stayed in business with the help of a SCORE mentor. So next slide. When we talk about who we've helped, we really are here for all small business owners that are small businesses. We help early stage entrepreneurs, startups, established businesses, and even those looking to transition. And we help clients in every industry. You can see that long list there. We have experts who are here who have been there, done that experience, and they can help you, whatever industry you are in. So the next slide. What does it mean? How can we help you? Let me talk a little bit about what those services and resources can do for you. So if you go to the next slide, SCORE works because it means you are not alone. We know how hard it is to be a small business owner and how many hats you have to wear. SCORE, our volunteers, the resources that we provide on our website at score.org help you and help you get that best chance for success. You can get the information you need to make the best decision for your business. And your SCORE mentor is your partner that's there for you, your sounding board, your guide to help you reach your goals. Mentoring helps minimize the risks that are associated with owning a business. It provides you with improved chances of success. Our workshops provide training on critical topics that matter to you as a small business owner. Social media, cash flow, importing, whatever it is, there are workshops available for you. You can also meet with like-minded entrepreneurs, people who are in the industries you are or in the same community you are, and build your network through those educational opportunities. And again, the online resources. If you go to www.score.org, it provides you with the tools you need for your playbook, that step-by-step instruction for how to develop and enhance your small business strategies. And all of this is here because we are here for you, for the life of your business. So if you go to the next slide, one of the resources that we've developed since the pandemic began was our Small Business Resilience Hub. We know how challenging it has been for small businesses, and SCORE has been able to bring mentoring remote via video, industry topics and specific checklists to help you, as well as outside resources, all of the SBA loan opportunities available, as well as other funding opportunities to help you succeed in your business. We've seen almost 1 million people through the Resilience Hub to date and have helped tens of thousands of people navigate this pandemic. I would encourage you to check that out. See what resources and mentors are there to help you with your business challenge or what you're looking to do to take it to the next level. You can see that there have been testimonials from people who have used it, used our mentors, and have helped them to find new information, new opportunities, and survive and thrive through this pandemic. And on the next slide, we also would be remiss if we didn't take the opportunity to talk to you. You're small business owners. You have knowledge and expertise. And when the time is right for you, we want to ask you to consider to being a volunteer with SCORE. You make a difference in your community already as a small business owner. So consider giving back and becoming a volunteer, sharing your wisdom, your experience with those in your community. There are many different roles to volunteer with SCORE. And if you go to the next slide, we can see some of those. You can provide mentoring via video directly from your home or where you're working. You can lead workshops. You can become a leader or do community outreach, building partnerships where you are. When you are a SCORE volunteer, you continue to be a recognized leader in your local business community. You get that feel-good feeling that volunteering gives to everyone. You get to make new friends and build your network and grow personally and professionally, because we do believe that lifelong learning matters here at SCORE. And the next slide, please. There are a bunch of roles. So you don't just have to be a mentor. If you are interested in volunteering and sharing your expertise, we will find a role that makes sense for you. Next slide. So please get started today. We are here to help you start and grow your business. Our mentors have been through the trenches. They know the ins and outs of the resources that are available, and we are standing by ready to help you. So reach out to score.org today, get paired with a mentor, look at the resources, and let us help you, guide you on your journey to small business success. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here, and I look forward to your questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Bridget, for that really helpful overview of SCORE and all of the great resources and things that you do for our small businesses. Before we transition over to our next speaker, I just want to note that, today's presentation is being recorded. You all will receive a recording of the presentation. The presentation also being streamed live to Facebook at the Public-Private Strategies Facebook page and also over at the SBA. So you can go back to Facebook and rewatch this program or any of our other previous webinars anytime you want, as many times you want. So with that, I'd love to introduce our next speaker, Lisa Shimkat, who is the State Director for Iowa for America's Small Businesses Development Centers. Lisa, you're welcome to join us and introduce yourself and share everything about America's SBDCs with us.
Wonderful. Thank you for this opportunity. With SBA, we have outreach partners. One of the outreach partners is SCORE. Another outreach partner is America's SBDC, which is Small Business Development Centers. You may have heard of them. There are 1,000 of them across the United States, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Guam. And what we do nationally is help businesses, much the same that SCORE does, by starting a business, expanding an existing business. But let me take a second to talk a little bit about our stats nationally. Through America's SBDCs, a new business is started every 26 minutes, a new job every 5.7 minutes, and over $100,000 in financing is obtained every 8.8 minutes. Now, those are some great numbers, but at the end of the day, you're here to find out, what can I do for you? And let me tell you some of the things that I can do for you. Let's say you are a new business that you've tuned in here today. And as a new business, you're out there looking to say, I want to start. What are my first steps? You may Google, you may get hundreds of thousands of responses, but where do you even start with those? So we recommend starting with the Small Business Development Center. And what we can do is start putting together market research for you, help with some customer identification. Let me give a short example. Let's say you want to start a shoe store and you say, well, everyone's my customer because everyone wears shoes. Well, that's not quite it. It's a little bit more than that because not everybody goes to the same place to get their shoes. They have different things that influence those buying decisions, which is why it is critical to make sure you know how to identify your customer and who is going to make the decision. The next thing is maybe looking at the business model canvas. It is a tool that many of the SBDCs utilize. This is where you can dig in more. We've heard the dreaded business plan. Absolutely, you still probably need to do a little bit of a business plan, but times have changed a little bit. And the business model canvas would be another place for you to really start and put some of those ideas to paper. Now, how does it work? How do you get in touch with an SBDC if I'm a new business? Well, one of the ways you can is to go to americassbdc.org and just click on Find Your SBDC. Then you reach out, and what we ask from you is give us some information so we can really help narrow in on what your needs truly are. Let's talk a little bit about an existing business. So existing businesses come to us as well, and maybe they just need to look for a new market. Really easy example out there. Let's say that you have an opportunity to buy a warehouse that has VHS tapes. Now, VHS tapes, maybe not a market you want to get into today, but let's say that you could find a new customer for it. Maybe you can turn those VHS tapes into little safes, because nobody's going to come in and steal a VHS tape from your house. I know I kind of say this a little in jest, but it's an example for how you can look for changing your product, changing the focus or the use for your product to find additional customers. Another thing for existing businesses that is extremely popular is doing some financial analysis. Particularly during the beginning of COVID, financial health checkups were vital for small businesses trying to figure out, how do I stay here tomorrow? How do I make sure I'm here a month from now, a year from now? And when things change, how do I need to change? Existing businesses have had to change, as you are all aware of. And the thing is that change isn't done. So being able to look into some of the market research, look at some of the trends, and remember the trends, we used to look at trends over maybe 3 years, 5 years. Now we're looking at trends 3 months, 5 months. So the runway has really changed, which means we have to change the way we interpret some of those results. So the financial health checkup is a great way to do some of that. Another thing is business transition. This was mentioned earlier as well, and business transitions are vital to the economy to make sure that we still have those businesses out there for strong economies in every single state. Many of the states, particularly in the rural areas, were really struggling because in a small town, if you lose that one small business, that has such a ripple effect through the economy of that town. Many of those small business owners, as you know, are the ones that are contributing to the philanthropic efforts that are giving back to the communities. So that's why we are continually pushing for help and assistance for small businesses. Now, another one that I want to talk about is tech and commercialization. Tech and commercialization is very, very important. And many times, how do we get there? What do we do? What do you do if you're in a rural area? This is even harder because you may not have that university next to you. You may not have some of those private consultants that you can say, how do I do this? So the Sbdc is another resource you can reach out to and ask, all right, I have this idea. I have this prototype. I have this service or product that I have proven I can use it. How do I get it out to see if others can use it as well? We can walk you through a lot of those steps. We can hopefully take some of the risk away and at least minimize it to help you have a stronger start as you're looking to that business. Now, some of the things that we also want to talk about as you're doing this, and I want to lump all together now, whether it's a new business, which we have seen a record number of startups, or if you're an existing business, or maybe looking for the tech commercialization, we need to also say, make sure you have that transition plan done. Transition plans are important. Back before COVID hit, I know we look at timelines now, pre-COVID, COVID, post-COVID, but we don't even know if we're post-COVID yet. So when we look at timelines for a transition, we used to like to tell people, boy, it'd be great if you could do 5 to 10 years. Let's prepare those tax returns. Let's make sure we position that business to maximize the value of your business for sale. COVID hit. Right before COVID, as we were just coming into it, I would say, that transition of what we hoped for 5 to 10 years went down to about 6 months to a year. And then when COVID was in full force, we were looking at 30 to 60 days. 30 to 60 days is almost impossible to do a successful business transition, which is why we ask people, the moment you open your business, you should have a transition plan thought about. If it's not on paper, at least have it ready so that we can maintain sustainability throughout our economy and throughout our entrepreneurial ecosystem to really help those small businesses. So if you need help with how do I exit my business? Maybe I want to sell it. Maybe what I want to do is I want to take my business and I want to give it to a key employee. There's lots of options out there, and we can talk about the tax implications with you. We can talk about how to maximize the value with you. So please make sure that you are reaching out to whether it's the Sbdc, SCORE, Women's Business Center, or one of the other SBA resource partners to really help have a solid plan on that. When COVID hit, the Sbdcs nationwide saw a tremendous increase in the number of clients. Now, how do I know this? I can tell you my small piece of the world. And
Lisa, I think, Lisa, you went on mute.
oh, I am sorry.
No worries. It happens to the best of us.
Sorry.
Zoom these days, right?
That's right. That's right. So during COVID, we saw about, or before COVID, we saw about 5,000 small businesses a year. When COVID hit, within 90 days, we saw and talked with over 70,000 businesses. This was a tremendous undertaking, but it was done in partnership with SBA. And between the district offices, SBA out in Washington, D.C., and other resource partners, we worked together to make sure that we had a strong system available for entrepreneurs out there. So I would just like to end with, please make sure to go check out the website, americassbdc.org, and click on Find Your Sbdc so that you can find the resource partner close to you to get that one-to-one counseling, to get the training, whether it's virtual or in person. And I will add also, every state will be a little bit different when it comes to accessibility, as far as if you are requesting face-to-face. In Iowa, we have been open as a state since July of 2020. So we are in person, as safe as possible and as requested, but we also do Zoom and we do phone and computer as well. So please make sure to reach out to the resource partner closest to you and find out how you can safely meet with a counselor so that we can help your business and take it to the next step. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I look forward to questions later.
Well, thanks so much, Lisa. What a great overview of all the great things that you guys are doing, and Sbdc is doing. So really looking forward to coming back and talking to both you and Bridget with some questions that we've got. We've got a lot of questions coming into the chat there. So folks, please keep them coming in. We won't be able to obviously answer all of them, but we will try and lump as many together and generalize as many so we can try and help answer as many of your all's questions as possible. So thanks for keeping those coming in. All right, next slide, please. All right, so next we're going to talk about the COVID EIDL program, which I know a lot of folks have been asking questions about. So next slide. I'd love to introduce Veronica Buhin, who is a senior policy advisor with the Office of Capital Access at the Small Business Administration. Veronica is going to do a walkthrough of COVID EIDL, which will hopefully help to answer a lot of the questions that we've seen come in. But I will turn it over to you, Veronica.
Sounds great. Thank you. Thank you to all for joining this conversation today. Thank you to Public-Private Strategies Institute for continuing to have this space to convene different individuals, and so that small businesses can get the resources that can benefit them. I'll go through the COVID EIDL program. I've been going through some of the questions in the chat, answering some of them by saying that a lot of the presentation will cover a lot of the questions. And for those who are interested in applying for COVID EIDL, the questions aren't answered during this session, we do have a weekly office hour session. The next one's next Wednesday, 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern. You can get the link information for that on the SBA website and or social media. So check in on that if you're seeking a space to engage with SBA on questions you have around how to apply for COVID EIDL. But let's go to the presentation for now. All right, so just making sure everyone has the information on what Coveted is. So Coveted is a federal small business relief program. It's been around for the majority of the federal response to COVID. It has two components. It's a kind of foundational component is the loan that is a generous small business loan. It also has grant components, the targeted advance and the supplemental targeted advance. Those are programs that provides resources that do not need to be paid back. To qualify for those programs, you need to be in a low to moderate income community as designated by your geography, and need to have demonstrated a certain amount of revenue loss. You can access information at sba.gov/EIDL about the eligibility requirements, but I like to really highlight that from the get-go that it is a requirement to be located in a low to moderate income community and to have demonstrated a revenue loss to be able to access that program. So that's the targeted advance, supplements targeted advance. For the loan component, you do not need to be in a low to moderate income community, nor need to have demonstrated revenue loss due to COVID-19. And so that's some of the details I'll talk through because that is accessible to more small businesses. So the loan component, let's go back a slide. The loan component has generous terms, 3.75% interest, and a 30-year repayment horizon and a 2-year deferment. So that creates a reduced repayment burden. So you first have 2 years of deferment, can focus on what you need to do to recover your business. And then having it stretched out over 30 years with an interest rate of 3.75% makes that monthly payment burdens significantly lower than for market alternatives that have shorter repayment horizons and higher interest rates. So for example, a Coveted loan of $10,000 would result in a monthly payment of roughly less than $50. There's flexible use of funds. You can use Coveted funds on payroll, on rent, on any normal operating expenses and working capital. That includes paying business debt. So you can pay off commercial debt you have under your business, and you can make payments on federal debt you have for your business. There's an accessible application. The Coveted, the loan is obtained directly through the SBA. So it does not require an external financial institution to apply as a small business owner. So this differs from PPP, for example, and other loan programs that the SBA offers. You apply directly to SBA online and receive your funds directly from the SBA and repay the loan directly to the SBA. Let's go to the next slide, please. Let's go to the next one, actually. Yeah, so where we're at is that this is the program, the terms of the program. So for loans up to $25,000, you have no collateral, no personal guarantee requirements. The minimum credit score is 570. For loans of over 25,000 to 500,000, you do have a collateral requirement for over 25,000 and a personal guarantee requirement for over 200,000. Same minimum credit score. And then for loans over 500,000, you do have a higher minimum credit score at 625. And then the collateral also includes business real estate if a business has real estate. You do not need to have business real estate to apply for a loan of over 500,000. We'll go to the next slide. Let's go to the next slide, actually. So how do I apply for this program? So one point to emphasize is the program closes December 31st, 2021. If you are seeking to apply for this loan, you need to apply by December 31st. The program will stop accepting new applications. So again, now this is the last month here to apply for the loan. You also have until the 31st to apply for targeted advance and supplemental advance components. The supplemental advance, if you're applying for that, the agency highly recommends that you apply by the 10th to allow for enough processing time. That is for the supplemental advance. But how do you apply? You go to sb.gov/EIDL, review the website information. There are a variety of details around the process. The process will just be significantly smoother if you have that context. Then if you're new to Coveted, you complete an intake form. So that intake form is on the website. The website has a sample intake form, so you can see what it looks like. It has a checklist that essentially provides instructions how to complete that intake form. And then if you're new, you complete that intake form, you'll then get an email inviting you to the portal. You then finish your application process in the portal. The website also has a checklist, which is essentially instructions for how to use the portal. If you're not new to Coveted, you have already gone a loan via Coveted, you are then applying for an increase. And so if you're applying for an increase, do not complete an intake form again. You just need to go straight to the portal where you got the loan originally to request more funds, because technically you're not applying for a new loan, you're applying for an increase to your loan. Again, highly recommend reviewing the website information so you have a much smoother process. The time horizon for loans, the processing time for loans up to 500,000 is 2 to 3 weeks. And then for loans over 500,000 will be a bit over a month. So if you apply today, if you're getting for a loan up to 500,000, it'll be several weeks. You can make that process go as quickly and smoothly as possible by providing the SBA with information that is requested. If you have been declined, you can apply for reconsideration. The reconsideration process is in your decline letter. You can apply for reconsideration. One common reason people are declined that actually could get approved later on is if you have a mismatch in information between what's in your intake form and what's on the portal, what you upload in terms of your tax documents. So really make sure that there's a match in the information. Some tips, if you're applying new, really review your application for typos. Unfortunately, it's quite difficult to make changes. It's not impossible, but it will delay your process more. So really review for typos, really review that the bank account information you're providing is the bank account you want the funds to go into. Really make sure you're providing the proper email address where you'd like to be communicated with for this program. I highly recommend doing that to result in a smoother process for you going down the road. Let's go to the next slide. And here are some resources. Customer service number. Customer service has been revamped since the start of Coveted. The customer service, we have moved to a different customer service offering. So you will have a different customer service experience that aims to meet your needs and provide quality responses. So it will be different than it was in the past. And you can access your local resource partners. Your local field office via the link provided here can help provide you answers and guidance as well. And again, I'll end with Wednesdays 3 to 4. There's an office hours where we can answer more detailed application questions. So PPSI does a fantastic job at bringing us all together so that we can get the information out there. And for detailed application questions, we do have those office hours, and we're happy to walk through any detailed tactical questions for your application and how you can get that submitted. That's all for me for now.
Great, thanks, Veronica. I appreciate that. I know we've got a lot of questions coming in to the Q&A there. So we'll all come back to you at the end as well, and we'll have some more chance shortly for some more Q&A. But next, we're just going to go through 2 more resources that we want to go over as a part of the presentation. One on tax credits. So if you want to hit next slide. All right, so the American Rescue Plan has extended a number of critical tax benefits, one of which is still available is the employee retention credit and for small businesses. So that credit is extended for small businesses through the end of this year and allows businesses to offset their current payroll tax liabilities up to $7,000 per employee per quarter. So this credit of up to $28,000 per employee for 2021 is available to small businesses who have seen revenues decline or temporarily been shut down due to COVID. So we want and hope that all of you will take advantage of this. But highly encourage that you reach out to whoever prepares your taxes, your CPA, etc., to talk about this credit, to make sure that you qualify and to help you work through the steps of that. You can also find out more about the Biden-Harris administration's recovery programs at treasury.gov/coronavirus. Next slide. And then last, we're going to talk about vaccines. So what you all should know about COVID, and it's actually a lot has been in the news recently with the new Omicron variant, but we know that we've seen a surge due to different variants, particularly Delta, in the last few months, mostly affecting folks who have been unvaccinated or folks that have compromised immune systems. The Omicron variant has now been identified, just saw earlier the first case in California. So restrictions are starting to come back in certain places, including travel restrictions. So you should try and keep up to date as much as possible about what's not only happening in the country and the world, but also what's happening in your local communities as we start to discover and learn what's going on with this new variant. Next slide. But what can you do, and what can you do as a small business owner or a small business leader, is that's get vaccinated and get your booster shot. If you already have been vaccinated, encourage your families, your friends, your neighbors, and most importantly, your employees to get vaccinated as well. You will all serve as speakers and as leaders in your communities and are trusted voices in your communities. So we hope that you will help to share information about the vaccines, the safety, the efficacy, and the importance of getting the vaccines. If you haven't already, create a vaccine plan for you and your business, review any of the local or state regulations, seek legal advice from counsel if you need to, and also consider incentives for you and your employees if you or have folks that have not yet been vaccinated in turn, including paid leave which will help folks to take time to recover from any side effects or any other incentives to encourage folks to get the vaccine. You can also keep you and your employees up to date and apprised of any new updates by using vaccinefinder.org to see what has changed recently, who's available for boosters, which now is everyone, great. And then also, if you live in an area disproportionately impacted by COVID-19, the Health Resources and Services Administration has a program that can help provide greater assistance. We'll get you that link afterwards. Regardless whether you encourage, incentivize, or mandate vaccines for your business, you need to communicate that plan with your employees, both verbally and in writing. And we also encourage you to continue to follow the CDC for any guidance, especially as the new Omicron variant is coming out, depending upon what kind of guidance around wearing masks, social distancing, etc., and making sure that your employees are vaccinated, most importantly. All right, next slide. All right, so we're going to go into Q&A now. We know we've got a lot of questions, a lot coming through, and I want to reiterate that we will be sending out today's webinar an email to everyone. You'll get a recording, and it also will live on our Facebook page, so you can go back and rewatch this at any point in time. Want to bring back Lisa, Bridget, and Veronica to join us. And also just want to note that we'll try and get through as many questions as possible, but we are not able to, again, answer any specific questions. As Veronica said, if you have something that's very specific about your application for COVID EIDL, to get in touch during those office hours or use that phone number or the emails or the links that were up earlier, we'll make sure you also get those. But anywho, want to kind of hop right in with Bridget and Lisa first. One of the questions I saw come up several times is how to get involved. How can you become a volunteer or a scorer or an Sbdc? People want to help, which is fantastic and exciting. So I'll turn it over to Lisa or Bridget. Feel free to one of you guys hop in and we'll go from there.
Sure, I'll start since I'm unmuted. But first of all, yes, appreciate all of the enthusiasm. We would love to have you be a part of the SCORE team. To become a SCORE volunteer, it's pretty simple. Go to www.score.org/volunteer. Fill out a very simple application. Your local chapter will contact you, see what your skills are, and find a good match.
Lisa?
Same with small business development centers. We are always looking for folks that can help mentor, that can help work with a business, maybe with some additional personalized one-on-one beyond what we can do individually. So please reach out to your local Sbdc. I recommend whichever one is in your state and start there. We sure appreciate it and we'd welcome you.
Great. And kind of further to that, I know, Lisa, you mentioned earlier that, you guys are open and in person for visits. Bridget, is SCORE the same thing for now, or virtual at the moment, kind of a hybrid? What's the best way for folks to get in touch and reach out for assistance?
For SCORE, we are mostly virtual still, although it can vary depending on the transmission rates in the community. So we do have virtual mentoring in every community and virtual events as well. The best way to find out, you can go to, again, score.org. There is a find a location link, and you can put in your zip code, city and state, find your nearest chapter, give them a call, shoot them an email, and they will get in touch.
Great. And anything else about you want to add, Lisa, about for folks coming in to see you all?
Sure, absolutely. Coming in, I would also recommend that if you're an existing business and maybe you need some help with putting together some of those loan paperwork, hey, can somebody review this? Am I doing it right? Absolutely. Just bring it all in, whether you bring it in on a flash drive, email it. And also, there were a lot of questions about, do you work with nonprofits? Yes, we do work with nonprofits. It depends on what the needs of that nonprofit are, because sometimes there's more strategic planning needs, and we want to make sure that we have the bandwidth to hit everybody we can. So I hope that helps answer some of those questions as well.
Great, thanks, Lisa. And Bridget, I also want to add in, because Lisa mentioned it, and I think I've seen a lot of questions about folks with specifics about trying to fill out COVID EIDL applications. Will you all do the same thing and help folks out if they need help with their application or reviewing things and making sure everything looks great? As Veronica said, got to keep an eye for those typos. Would you all be able to do the same thing?
Yes, absolutely. SCORE mentors have been studying the EIDL process, know the ins and outs and all of the paperwork that needs to go with that. So we are there ready to go through it with you with a fine-tooth comb, help make sure that you understand everything that you are submitting, and make sure that you have the best chance of success with that.
Great. And more importantly for both Bridget, you and Lisa, services, as far as I think you both mentioned, are free, correct?
Yes, that's correct. All of our mentoring is free.
All right, folks, you heard it. $0, zero cost. If you're applying for COVID EIDL or have an application in and need some assistance, reach out to your Sbdc or to your local SCORE affiliate and see if we can help get you on the right path. So that's huge. Excellent. Everyone loves $0. That's amazing. At least when something they don't have to pay for anything. It's awesome. Kind of switching services, switching things here a little bit, what have you all seen for small businesses as they're recovering now? What are the biggest challenges that you see that folks have been facing as we're trying to pivot out? Lisa or Bridget, feel free, one of you, to hop in here.
Okay, I might jump in on this one. Two of the biggest challenges that a lot of those small businesses are facing is workforce shortages and supply chain issues. And that has really changed the way a lot of industries do business. You're seeing the retail or restaurant industry now close specific days, doing half days of delivery only, or car side. Retail focused on backdoor sales, which is what we call the online sales. Supply chain issues have really changed a lot of those industries. Car dealerships are now changing from coming in to buy a car here to come in and we will help you order a car. So I think the biggest thing I want to ask is that businesses realize that things are different and start planning those contingencies on how you will position yourself in the future. And then also, when you are the consumer, save a little space for grace out there, because people are all trying to get through this together.
Absolutely. Bridget, do you want to add in?
Sure. Well, I think Lisa is spot on in terms of the workforce challenge. In previous years with SCORE, the number one question we would get is, how do I obtain financing or funding? That question is now number 2. The first question is, how do I attract and retain employees? It has become a huge problem for many small business owners. And what we hear are small business owners looking at, how can I raise wages? How can I provide better healthcare benefits? What flexible options or professional development opportunities can I provide? And again, those all take money. So it is all tied together, and it's something that SCORE and the SBDCs can be there for you to help you figure out what the best ways are for your business. The other thing, and Lisa mentioned this, the supply chain challenges do continue to weigh heavily on small business owners, and it affects their prices of their products. It affects their ability to sell. They're even, increasing their transportation costs because they have to drive further to get the products that they need. So this is something that we anticipate being a big problem for the next 6 months at the very least for small business owners. And as Lisa said, one of the things that we can help do is prepare as best we can, provide pivot plans if you need to, and make sure that you're still maximizing your bottom line despite all of the challenges out there.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, you both hit what was going to be my next question, which was about supply chains, which is great. But Lisa, I think you said it so well. Save some space for grace. I think we've all noticed. I think everyone has noticed the changes that are, maybe to most people are subtle, but for a small business owner, it's a big deal in terms of whether or not they have to close for half a day or have to change things around just because of everything that's going on. So I love that. I love that saying, save some space for grace. And I hope everyone will think about that as well. But that's excellent. Veronica, I wanted to pivot to you. I know you've been in the Q&A a little bit, working away with the team, but obviously we've seen a lot of folks come in with COVID idle questions. So I wanted to give you a minute or two to kind of maybe go through if there's any big questions you've seen pop out that you want to readdress or give answers to, or anything that you just want to generalize about that you've seen in the Q&A that you want to respond to.
Yes, been responding to some questions here. First, I'd say I'd follow up on the point that the recording will be shared, the presentation will be shared, because I know some people are popping in at different times, and some of the questions that are asked covered items that were covered, which is great, because that means you can access it pretty quickly, reviewing the presentation. So that's a good situation. For those questions that aren't answered, again, I would reiterate some process, key important processes. If you are new to COVID idle, you submit an intake form and then you do the portal. If you are not new to COVID idle, do not submit a second intake form. That unfortunately will lead to some processing complexities. So I want to I've had some points on increases. Applying for an increase means you do not submit another intake form. The one thing that I didn't highlight before, the reconsideration process takes about 4 weeks. So for those who are in reconsideration wondering why is this taking longer than 2 to 3 weeks, I thought 2 to 3 weeks. It is 2 to 3 weeks for new loan applications and loan increases. It is about 4 weeks for reconsideration. So that's another point. I've seen a lot of points about reconsideration. A couple points have been, I'm just saying trends, typos really clear, the email, the bank account. Those are some process suggestions that will help you move faster through the process. I haven't seen as many questions about this, but one thing is I know as the program's coming to an end, people are maybe nervous. If you apply today, if you apply in the near future before the program closes, you'll likely be fine. There's a solid amount of funding. So get your application in. And once you get it in, we start processing it. So it doesn't mean that your application has to be finished processing by the 31st. You just need to get it in by the 31st for everything except for the supplemental targeted advance. Supplemental targeted advance, the agency highly recommends submitting by the 10th.
And Veronica, I've got 2 follow-ups to that, and appreciate the further kind of the background on those points and seeing the things come through. One is on reconsideration, which we know we just chatted about briefly, and kind of the timeline. But what is the process for reconsideration? How can folks, like if they've been denied, what's the way to get into that pipeline?
Yes. So if you've been declined, there in your decline letter, there is an instruction for how to go through reconsideration. So follow that. What I highly recommend is Unfortunately, I know there's not always as much detail around why you've been declined as would be ideal. And so I would review the eligibility criteria on the website. A very common reason people are declined is the minimum credit score requirement. It is 570 for loans up to 500,000. That's a very common reason people are declined. Another common reason for decline is the information that you put into your application doesn't match your documentation. So addresses, revenue figures, names that you put on to the application, if that doesn't match your tax documentation, you will likely have an error come up. And so I go back and look at, see if that matched. When you apply for reconsideration, a loan officer will inform you of what's needed to go through that process. So you'll get that information. I'm just sharing some common reasons that you might be declined because you can get ahead of it. So if you know that there was information mismatch, you can have that documentation ready to share with the loan officer. But you apply for reconsideration, a loan officer will be in touch with you regarding what's needed for the next steps there.
Great. And then two further follow-ups that I've seen come up several times is, one, what's the difference? I think some people have been asking the difference between targeted and supplemental, idle and advance. And so could you go through that? And then the other one is folks that are having trouble with requesting their 4506T forms and delays in that. Could you shed a little light on that and maybe what folks can do to help, speed up that process, or what's happening behind the scenes that might provide a little bit more insight for folks that are struggling with that? And then also just that generic, what's the difference between the different, supplemental, advance, et cetera?
Yep, two great questions. So the targeted advance, that is a $10,000 grant fund that you do not have to pay back. You, to qualify for that, need to be in a low-income community. On the SBA website at sba.gov/EIDL, you can use this online map to see if your address falls in a low-income community. So there is a kind of census designated low-income community. So it's not self-reported. It's does your address map that? So I've checked that. Highly recommend checking that. The most common reason people are declined for targeted supplemental advance is that they're not in a low-income community. So check that to just not waste your time, right? I know people are busy. That is the policy. So you need to be in a low-income community, and the business needs to have suffered over 30%, at least 30% economic loss at the start of the pandemic, or since the start of the pandemic, and have 300 employees or fewer. So that's targeted. $10,000 requirements, low-income community, is 30% economic loss, 300 employees or fewer. The supplemental targeted advance is $5,000, and the requirements for that are the low-income community requirement again. The business needs to have suffered 50%, or at least 50% of economic loss, and have 10 employees or fewer. You could be eligible for both. If you're eligible for the supplemental, you'd be eligible for the targeted. It's possible you're eligible for the targeted and not the supplemental. So those are the different requirements. I can actually send some slides, slides to add if you want to email that as part of the resources after the fact. But that's also on the SBA website, sba.gov/EIDL. The second question on the 4506T, yes, great question. So 2 points. One, the SBA has improved some of the information sharing with the IRS, but they're still not immediate. And so if that's the challenge you're running into, we highly recommend e-filing. If you e-file, you will have that resolved within a few weeks. If you get your application in by the 31st and they're still waiting for, if you've e-filed, you're still waiting for tax documentation, you're okay. You've got your application in, you're okay. So those are the two key points. If you can e-file, it'll go much faster for you.
Great. All right. Thank you, Veronica. I appreciate you going over that. I'll let you get back to answering some more questions in these last few minutes that we have. And I'm going to switch back to Lisa and Bridget with our last question here. So final thought, whatever great wisdom you want to impart, but what is your number one tip, piece of advice for small business owners at this moment?
From us, the number one piece of advice is Don't be shy. Reach out and grab people and say, you know what, I need you to help me now. Get that banking relationship strong. Talk to the banker, good, bad, or ugly. You need to talk with your banker, pull that CPA or accountant in. Some of you asked about, well, I don't have an accountant. Then let's look at maybe doing some QuickBooks, things like that. But reach out to resources. There's free resources that we've talked about today, and pull them in so that we can do everything we can. The sooner the better.
Excellent. Bridget?
Yes, similar to what Lisa said, reach out for help. Get a mentor from SCORE, from the Sbdcs. You are not alone. We're seeing a lot of questions. We're seeing some confusion. We are here to help. You don't have to do this alone. So reach out. It is, we will help you answer your questions and find what you need.
Great, great. Well, thank you both so much for joining us today. This has been hugely, hugely, hugely helpful. We're so appreciative, and same to Veronica. So thankful for you for hopping on, and thankful for all of you for just hopping in and helping to answer questions. We've got quite a few. We got over thousands of questions. So thank you, everyone, and appreciate you all spending some time with us this afternoon. Abdullah, do you want to move us on to the next slide? All right, so just for folks, just to let you know, we do have some more upcoming webinars the next 2 Wednesdays, roughly the same with a little bit of a different focus on each one. We'll still cover COVID idle, but next Wednesday, we'll talk about government contracting and procurement. And then on the 15th, our final webinar for the year, we'll be talking with the Office of International Trade. Next slide. So thank you all so very much for joining. If you've got any SBA related questions, feel free to go to that email there, answerdesk@sba.gov, or at any other links or emails that you saw earlier during the slides. If you've got any questions about the webinar itself, feel free to contact us at events@publicprivatestrategies.com. As I said earlier, this webinar is being recorded. It is going to be sent out to everyone. It is going to live on our Facebook page in perpetuity. So you can go back and watch and pause and stop and look at any slide you want to at any point in time. You can go back and watch some of our other webinars that we've held. And we'll also be there for our upcoming ones on the 8th and the 15th. We also will share all the questions that have been sent over to us with the SBA. So they will get all the questions to be able to review post our event. So don't worry, they're being shared as well. And with that, I want to thank everyone for joining us. We hope you have a great rest of your afternoon and a great holiday season, and we'll hope to see you in the next couple of weeks. Thanks so much for joining. Take care.